For the first time since the early 2010s for the truck side, as well as the first time since 2004 for the Xfinity Series, NASCAR in the big leagues is racing at the Rock. And we saw it this past weekend in a whole bunch of different ways. We saw controversy, we saw great racing, we saw fuel mileage, we saw finishes, we even saw a DNQ. And a lot of people look at the way that this past weekend went at Rockingham and said, hey, we need more of this. This works. Why did we ever go away from this? And I think that we can agree it was definitely a success. There's no way around it based on so many different things. And I wanted to talk a bit today of why I think not only should this come back next year, for probably Easter weekend again for the two lower series, but then also to come back one day for Cup, the same way that Ben Kennedy has brought up recently, and the same way a lot of people in the industry have. So let's roll on into this. I think a really big piece is the kind of connection to the past. If you've looked at the direction that Ben Kennedy and NASCAR have gone with the current schedule, you'll see there's a nice balance of old and new. For every LA Coliseum race and Chicago street race and races at different tracks that you really wouldn't expect a NASCAR race to be at, like Coda, for instance. You have different olive branches to the past, whether it's maybe the return of the Brickyard 400, whether it's different kind of old traditions brought back up, or if it's also going back to that North Carolina base, the strongest and most centered base of fans in all of NASCAR. From Bowman Gray to North Wilkesboro and now to Rockingham, you have a good amount of tracks in this area on top of the Martinsvilles, Richmonds, Bristols already in the area. Same with Darlington, that all are part of where this base grew, of where this sport grew. And I think that that is a great direction to go in. For one, if you look at the direction in so many ways NASCAR went on in the late 90s and through the 2000s and even into the 2010s, when they were just in denial that they couldn't break away from these roots, you saw them break off Rockingham and North Wilkesboro and a date at Darlington and a lot of those old school, just hard-nosed racing tracks and communities. And now getting them back, I think, is the right decision. Build them back, build up your base before you're trying to go full swing to the rest of the world, to the rest of the country. But also to, on top of that, the core fan base just nationwide, I think, needs a real cleanse in some ways. Because if you look at the way that fans have been battered over and over and over again, if you look at the way 2024 especially wound up, it was not something that all of us every week came and said, man, I am so excited for the direction we're going here. I'm so excited for each race. It was, oh God, will you just let it be over already? And I think that giving these olive branches, giving these great moments of pure racing and old school fun is the perfect way to go about it. And if you look at it too, the fan base seemed to be supporting it. There was a large amount of fans, even for truck race standards, at the track on Friday for the Truck Series race. And then you also look at the sellout that they had in advance to the Xfinity race with roughly 26 to 30,000 people. Again, pretty damn good for an Xfinity race that isn't Daytona, basically. And I think that you see that grassroots group of fans come back, but you also see stories of fans like Brock Beard driving across the country to make this race. You see all of these different drivers and personalities that are going to be in the infield, they're going to be in the booth, they're going to be watching at home, commenting on all of it. You saw real excitement. And what I liked about it too, when it came to the support, is you didn't have to gloss it up. Yeah, and what I mean by that is North Wilkesboro, you had to be the all-star race. You had to be old-fashioned. You had to be all these different things. When you moved the Southern 500 back in 2015 to its traditional date, you had the throwback weekend. You had the playoffs coming up. You had all this other stuff you added in. Bowman Gray, the Madhouse, the Clash of the Bowman Gray Coliseum, basically. You had all of that added in. But having Trucks and Xfinity go there first, there wasn't the glitz and the glamour. There weren't the celebrities coming out. There wasn't the kind of, reach back to try and shoehorn history into every moment of the broadcast. And I think because of that, it actually made it feel more special because it felt like a race straight out of the 90s or 2000s. And I saw a lot of different traffic and stuff for it on social media as well. It seemed like people were pretty happy at home. So I'm hoping that translates to the TV side, because it seems like when people talk about the lower series more on social media, more people are usually watching on their television sets. So I guess, knock on wood. And then the racing itself. I mean, you can't ignore the racing that we saw this past weekend. I would argue that, say, maybe take a few wrecks and some bad sloppiness out of the Xfinity race. Majority of that race, and I would say the entirety of the truck race, were a ton of fun. You, yes, had a narrow track because of the repave. It was going to be narrow no matter what. Any track would be with a repave. But Rockingham still delivered because the groove did widen out as the weekend went and as the races went. And I think that can't be ignored in any way whatsoever as well. And then you add to that as well that you had the fuel mileage aspect at the end of both races going to fruition in the truck race, but also being a piece of the Xfinity race that looked to be really interesting had we not had a late caution come out. Again, old school, just normal racing that you're not having to worry about BS cautions for or anything like that. So there's that part of it as well. Overall, I thought the racing was a ton of fun. But if this track is going to survive in the big leagues again, where it, I think, belongs, there's something that's very key to all of it. Doesn't matter where you're at, it's you. We as the fan base have to support this racetrack, whether it's more people going out the second year to try and fill the seats, whether it's all of us watching on television again and treating it as the important race it should be treated as, which every race should be treated as. We need to show that if even it can't be a cup race, Rockingham deserves its spot on the NASCAR schedule. It deserves its spot definitely with trucks and Xfinity, and we need to prove too it belongs in the Cup Series side of things. Whether it's an all-star race, whether it's a points race, I don't care. One way or another, though, fans have to show up. Because if we don't show up, again, this track probably doesn't get another chance at the big leagues again. So if you liked what you saw, let people know. If you liked what you saw, watch the races on TV. And if you're able and you like what you saw, go back next year when I would say almost inevitably they will be racing there next year. So now I want to go and pass it over to you. What did you think of this racing weekend? Did you like it at the Rock? I mean, I know a lot of people watching might not have even been born when they raced at the Rock last for especially the Xfinity and Cup Series, but maybe even the Truck Series. So let me know what you thought down below. And do you think it belongs in the Cup Series again, too? Let me know everything you thought about this weekend down below in the comments. While you're at it, leave a like on this video, share this video, and subscribe to this channel for more great and fun NASCAR content. Thank you so much for all my channel members for your continued support. And until next time, have a good one.